What's crackalacking? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And with the pro days not being a thing because the whole flu thing going around, hopefully you're safe and sound. I could, I guess, release my finalized rankings for each position. So we're gonna go over quarterback today. I have 17 draftable or quarterbacks with draftable grades. I'm gonna go over my top 15. But before that, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Of course, why wouldn't you? It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate it nonetheless. Much appreciated, much obliged. I will have a NFL draft watch along. So if you want to stop by, I'm gonna have the first day on YouTube. I don't know about the next two. I might do on Twitch. But yeah, we're gonna have a watch along. I'm gonna have my big board up, and yeah, just be around so we can chit chat about all the wildness going on there. Also, I'm gonna start working on my free agency draft or free agency grades. I don't know, with Clowney's still out there and looming, you know, it's kind of hard, but I think I'm gonna put that out, as well as I'm working on that 7-round mock draft. No trades, because nobody likes trades apparently. But let's go ahead. Let's dive in. Two guys that missed the list here that were my 16, 17 was Shea Patterson out of Michigan and James Morgan out of Florida International. But let's start with 15. Kevin Davidson out of Princeton. He's only a one-year starter, but coming out of the Ivy Leagues, an Ivy League school being Princeton, so it's a bit scary on the competition spectrum, but he looked good in the Shrine practices and the game. He's got great size, huge arm. He's been working out during this offseason with Phil and Matt Sims. Dude has exceptionally small hands though, like 8-inch hands. Typically you want to be in the above 9 range, but again, the competition's a bit worrisome. That's why you see him here in the 7th round. As you can see, I got the my round predictions or projections and the size of each of these prospects. And then we'll move on to Steve Montez. Guy's got a big arm, but he's incredibly inaccurate and just not wise with the football. He's got a very large sample size we could pull from, being throwing the ball over 1,185 times. Too many times though he threw into windows that just weren't shut. They were boarded up. And if he wasn't doing that, he simply was just missing his receivers altogether, but he's going to get drafted because of that big arm and prototypical size at 6'4", 231. Nate Stanley coming in here. Guy really does have a high ceiling, but he just isn't a game changer. A lot of people like to throw that at Jake Fromm for not being a game changer, but the guy can operate an offense. I don't know if Stanley can do that just yet because he misses way too often on throws. And when he's not missing, he's making very safe throws, you know, none that really move the needle. He doesn't really attack downfield. And a lot of people like to point, it was like, oh, his point to big play potential being in that USC bowl game. But a lot of that was on his receivers making plays. I mean, Amir Smith Marset, dude was a baller. Check him out here. I have him in as a day 2 receiver in my 2021 mock draft. But yeah, Nate Stanley sitting here in the 6th round might be a quality backup. Tyler Huntley out of Utah. Probably see scouts. They try to say he's very impatient, but I think that he was more of a product of a bad offensive line. He wasn't given a lot of time to throw there, and he would often anticipate pass rush like a PTSD, man. The offensive line was just that bad. He looked a lot more comfortable in the Shrine game, but you could still see he takes a bit time to make a decision. His arm strength, it's adequate, but he's got very good deep ball accuracy despite the limitations with his arm. And you know, he's a playmaker with his legs, so pretty good prospect there. James Love out of San Jose State. This guy might be the Uncle Rico, may be the Gardner Minshew of this draft. He doesn't have great arm talent like Gardner Minshew, but he's a very good decision maker like Gardner Minshew. I love me Uncle Rico. But he was very good at handling pressure, but he wasn't facing the best competition there. His ball placement does need to improve, but he could be a solid backup. I felt the same way last year about Ryan Finley, and he went in the 4th round. So 5th round here, kind of a steal. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to 10 through 6. We're talking about Jake Luton out of Oregon State. Good size. He's really good at reading defenses, but where he struggles is going through his progressions. The guy only really looks at one side of the field, and too often, or more often than not, he's a good decision maker, but he takes his checkdowns more times than not. And that's a problem when you're not really going through your reads. Like I said, he looks at one side of the field, and it's like if that first read's not open, he immediately goes to his check down. So something something you can adjust at the NFL level, going through your progressions. And then Jalen Hurts, this guy, I'd like to think a lot of the hype has died down a bit, but he kind of built back up at the combine after he ran pretty fast. But it's wild because I've seen this guy as high as I've heard rumblings of him going in the 2nd round of the Chargers, because the Chargers, word on the street, I'm just saying, this isn't coming from me, but that the Chargers, they're probably not going to go quarterback in the 1st round, that they may target like a Jalen Hurts in the 2nd, because they want that name value at quarterback just for a publicity standpoint. A guy like Jalen Hurts, be like, oh, we might have our future here. He's going to create a little more buzz than a Tyrod Taylor. But that's just what I've heard. Outside of that, 3rd, 4th round, which I have no problem with. I think that's a very good landing spot. So 3rd or 4th round for Jalen Hurts. I like his arm strength, his decision making. Could be slow at times, but more times than not, he makes the correct decision. And I think he could do well initially in a backup role, because simply he's just not an accurate quarterback. And we saw that during Senior Bowl practices, and they want to point to his 70% completion percentage, but you got to really look at the context there, because he was more times than not, he was completing passes on screens or downfield, where his receivers, they were in the top 5 of yards of separation created downfield. So he was throwing to wide open receivers. Lincoln Riley, he was basically told Jalen Hurts to go out there, may go through 1 to 2 reads, and if it's not open, run the football. And he was pretty good at that. He does have some mobility, but he's nowhere near the athlete of like a Lamar Jackson. And he's not the passer that Lamar Jackson was either. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Hurts. He had a really good 2019. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, the prospect, there are some pretty big holes in his game that need to be taken into consideration. But overall, there are a lot of things to like as well, and I'm more than willing to take that maybe at the end of the 3rd or somewhere in the 4th round. And then we got Cole McDonald out of Hawaii. There's a lot of things to like about McDonald. He has a big arm. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks on throws of 10 yards or less, which that's nice. But in the NFL, you want to make those intermediate throws. Those are the throws you're going to most often make in the NFL. He does have a short-term memory though when he does make a mistake. Like, he throws a pick, then on the next pass, next series of plays, he has no problem attacking the defense, whether it be deep or at the intermediate level. Unfortunately, that doesn't always pay off, as you could tell by the 14 interceptions he has thrown. That's where we talk about he has a lot of picks that were down the field on that deep to intermediate level. The intermediate level, it's very important, because those are the throws you're most often going to have to make in the NFL. If you're not succeeding at those, the college level, it can be a bit worrisome. But that's where it's more a decision-making thing than I think an actual accuracy, ball placement thing. Then again, some of it downfield was a bit questionable, but again, I think it's more of a decision-making thing. So on top of that, you got Hawaii's offense. It's real gimmicky. 4 to 5 wide receiver sets. It's nothing close to what you're going to see in the NFL. He does have a long release, easily fixed, but the arm talent's there. A lot to like about Cole McDonald. On to Jacob Eason. Whew, man. It's kind of wild. because he checks a lot of the boxes of a prototypical quarterback: size and arm strength, arm talent in general. So much so to where I've seen him go as early as like the mid to late first round. And I think it's so funny that people have a hard time giving Justin Herbert the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, oh, he's got a great arm, but I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback, and people just crap on him. But when it comes to Eason, they think he should go high. He should be a second round or mid or late first round quarterback. I don't think that's the case, because I think there's a big difference between Herbert and Eason, and it's under pressure, because Eason is definitely a worse quarterback under pressure. He had one of the best offensive lines in college football, and still, when he faced pressure, he was one of the worst quarterbacks. He's not very mobile in the pocket, not good at maneuvering, and in the NFL, you're not going to see pockets like that. They're going to be much smaller, which creates a lot of concern for me. He likes to sit on his first read a little too long. So when he does go through his progressions, he's typically late on some throws, but he does throw with good anticipation at times. So there are things to like about Eason. I just, third round. That's all I'm gonna say. Arm talent. That's about all I like. I really wish he would have stayed. Anthony Gordon out of Washington State. He's got decent arm talent, but he's very accurate. Decision making isn't always the greatest thing, but that's why I want, because a lot of people try to compare him to Gardner Minshew. There's a vast difference between the decision making Gardner Minshew made and Anthony Gordon made. Minshew just ended up being a rip of a steal, you know? Now, Gordon, he often fails to see linebackers dropping back into coverage in the middle, which, if you're not familiar, that's interception waiting to happen. Like, easy pick. So he also played poorly against some of the better teams in his conference, better defenses, Utah and Washington. He is good at going through his progressions, though, as you would expect in a Mike Leach. Guys are pretty good at going through progressions in that type of system. But he needed time for that. Again, another quarterback, while under pressure, wasn't terribly good, but he was nowhere near how bad Eason was. That's why I have him higher here. And then on to the top 5. Y'all probably could have expected this. Jake Fromm. A lot of people, like I said earlier, are trying to knock Fromm because he doesn't have the elite tools, at least of the quarterbacks above him, but he's good through and through. You can expect him to come in and run your offense efficiently, and he's good at taking care of the football. Yes, he's a game manager, but you could win with that in the NFL. Just look at Alex Smith, where it's like, I know that's not really a good selling point, but he's led the 49ers, he's led the Chiefs to the playoffs, winning seasons. You can win with a quarterback that just runs your offense well. Just saying. Jordan Love coming in here at number 4. There's this huge following of Love truthers out there, and I'm all for that, just not in the first round. People, they want to throw away his 2019 tape, but I think that's unwise and irresponsible. I get it, there was a new coaching staff, there was a lackluster cast around him, but while all those things, yes, they are true. As a passer, there are things that should be concerning from the 2019 tape. A lot of times he was trying to force passes into pressure. I mean, he was trying to throw to receivers who weren't open, and you could put that to, like, he was trying to make plays, but at the same time, that's just not good decision making. Threw over the middle quite late, which we established earlier. That's pick city, and he just wasn't great under pressure, but he was probably seeing a lot of pressure because, yes, it was a lackluster cast. I get it. 2019, he was kind of set up to fail in that environment, but there are things you should still consider there. The guy, okay, I get it. He's got good arm, good size, puts good touch on the football, but his decision making in 2019 should be something that we'd still take into consideration. He probably needs a year or two to develop, which isn't a bad thing, but I don't think that makes you a first round quarterback. And then on to these first round quarterbacks. Justin Herbert. I think Herbert, he was pretty limited by Oregon's offense, their scheme there. They were heavy on screen passes and short to intermediate routes. And he's kind of been a Houdini in some of Oregon's bigger games. I mean, you could point to the second half of the Auburn game this season. But I think I'm more willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point, given the arm talent. When he was asked to throw downfield, he had really good ball placement on those passes, really good touch. But I don't think he's a top 10. I'm more willing to spend a mid to late first round pick on Herbert. I still think he's a first round quarterback though. Tua Tagovailoa coming here at number 2. He's a phenomenal quarterback when healthy. That's the big Achilles heel here. A lot of risk comes with him. The hip, it checked out all good, but he has a extensive history of injuries. That's just the thing. His arm strength, it is a bit on the low end of the NFL spectrum, but if you look, some of his throws, they lack zip. His long balls, they flutter, but he's got great anticipation. He's just phenomenal in terms of accuracy. I mean, he makes up for his low end arm strength there, because he was one of the most accurate deep ball passers in all of college football behind Joe Burrow. But again, you kind of worry about that fluttering. I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt just because the SEC, that's as close to NFL competition as you're going to face in regards to defense. So maybe he can get away with those passes. Got good mobility in the pocket, at least I hope he will, after the hip. And he doesn't flinch. He's unafraid of pressure. He doesn't give a crap about pressure. So there's a lot of things to like about Tua. It's just, it comes with a big risk. And then Joe Burrow, everyone knows this guy's number 1. He's a calculated, cold-blooded killer, man. This guy, no one was more accurate downfield. He enjoyed one of the best seasons in all of college football of any player in history. I don't think he's a one-year wonder. We saw glimpses of this in 2018. It just really took Joe Brady coming in and just getting the most out of Burrow. He showed no fear in the pocket, very good mobility in the pocket. He throws with very good anticipation and really trusting on his receivers to be there at the break. The guy is just phenomenal. He deserves to go first. Good year for Burrow, but that's it for the video. Go ahead, leave your comments, questions, and concerns in the YouTube comments section below. But until next time, you'll be easy, my friends. Later.